Welcome back. Now, South Africans are questioning President Cyril Ramaphosa's ability to fight corruption. This follows the Phala Phala report that indicates he may have a case to answer to. Let's bring in Corruption Watch's Kavisha Pillay for more insight. Thank you so much for your time, Kavisha. We do appreciate it. I think many South Africans are taken aback. They were taken aback when this whole Phala Phala saga came to light. There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, but this doesn't really give the image that the president has always put forward of anti-corruption, rooting out corruption, does it?
Definitely. I think, the president came in on a anti-corruption ticket. And to his credit, there's been a lot that has been achieved under President Ramaphosa's time in office. So we've seen the strengthening of criminal justice institutions. We've seen a more collaborative approach to fighting corruption, including more involvement by civil society in partnership with criminal justice agencies to approach this issue. And we've also seen the adoption of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. So, this has been strong developments and successes that I can say that has been championed by President Ramaphosa. But when you are in the position that he's in, and given our history with corruption in South Africa, there is an expectation that a president should have integrity that's beyond reproach or unimpeachable integrity. And at this point, there's a lot of debate going on about the flaws that's contained within the report. But, with that aside, I don't think the president has been able to show without a doubt that he has unimpeachable integrity, because there's been a lack of transparency with relation to the allegations around the Phala Phala.
I think we must also just make it clear that this report does not indicate that the president is corrupt. It says that there's possibly a case for him to answer to. But in your opinion, do you think the president should resign?
That's a difficult one. As an organization, we haven't necessarily taken a position on this yet. But should the president choose to stay, he then has to, and say the president then survives not being recalled by the NEC and winning at Nasrec, he then has to go through the processes, the democratic processes and accountability processes that are in place to ensure that there's a full account for what happened and what transpired in this regard. Should the president resign, there would still obviously be a criminal justice or law enforcement approach to dealing with this particular situation. But I think it is quite a difficult situation for us right now as a country. These last few days have been really tough in terms of the various political developments that have taken place. But either way, whether the president chooses to go or to stay, there still has to be some form of accountability.
And I think that's what it boils down to, doesn't it? The fact that we've always seen government officials not necessarily wanting to take accountability, especially when we had the COVID-19 pandemic corruption coming out and those cases where people were literally dying, and we had situations where there was corruption at play. So maybe my last question to you could be around the accountability and how there needs to be almost an effort, and the president needs to be seen to be speaking on the matter and saying, this is my plan moving forward, because he's come out to say, I've actually done nothing wrong and I'm willing to answer whatever I'm being asked.
Definitely. We in South Africa have a culture of impunity, especially with those who are in positions of power, who engage in wrongdoing, who participate and benefit from corruption, and then were never held accountable for their actions. And under President Ramaphosa, when he sort of came in on this anti-corruption ticket, he promised that there would be an end to impunity, that there would be accountability for actions. And that's what needs to happen. And I think once that happens, once there's a full transparent account about what has emerged at the farm, where all of those issues where, in the panel report, there's still questions about, what was the nature of the money, why was it there, the disclosure of the theft, etc. Once there's a full account, a transparent account of that, and that there's a willingness to accept responsibility for any wrongdoing that may emerge, through an impeachment process or through a law enforcement process, I think we'll then be able to move forward. But until that happens, I think think it does follow a pattern that we've repeatedly seen in South Africa, where we have people in positions of power who then aren't held accountable for their actions, be it, this sort of small taking of bribes by police officers, or, our presidents, former presidents included, politicians who have abused the state and are yet to face the full might of the law for that.